Hello, Facebook Live. I know, like, what's going to make the best thumbnail? It's Nancy Sheed of Sheed Communications. I am very excited on this slightly dreary, overcast, but not snowy day where I am to be with Patty Lennon. Patty is a coach. She is a wonderful, intuitive person who gives amazing advice, guidance, counseling, and all sorts of other tidbits to predominantly coaches and consultants. But she's also left brain, right brain, hugely pragmatic, but incredibly intuitive. And so without further ado, I would like to say thank you, Patty, for being here. Very excited to talk about purpose and planning today.
Well, thank you for having me, and I'm excited too.
I was going to give you a little chance to talk about we're going to talk about purpose and planning, because I know those are things that are very important to you. And I thought we're going to kind of slightly do it through the lens of marketing, because this is a kind of year people are very interested in that and doing that. But I thought, first of all, can we take a step back, Patty, and just, those were my words and why I love you and what I think your secret sauce is. But can you tell a little bit more about what it is that you do, who you work with, and kind of where their pain points are, and how you and I are ending up here talking about purpose and planning?
Okay. Well, who I work with are women entrepreneurs who are purpose driven. And what I mean by that is they've started their businesses from this place of meaning as opposed to money being their motivation. And they are typically coaches and consultants or some type of service-based business, because packaging non-tangibles is a whole different ball game than if you have a product that you can hold and look at and touch and feel and taste. And I think purpose and planning is two awesome words that come to me when I think about my work, because at the heart of what we do, if you're deciding which direction to go in, if you're clear on what your purpose is, then it makes each step of the way clearer. Because if you're struggling with, should I do this? Shouldn't I do this? A lot of times it has to do with that word should. And so when you come back to your purpose, it clears up a lot of the confusion.
Got it.
I'm a big, and that kind of touches more on the soul work that I do, and like the softer touch of what I do. And then, I'm a crazy person when it comes to planning, because
a good crazy person.
But the reason is because almost everything we want to achieve in life is really achievable. Now I say almost, because I think there are certain things that we can dream of. Like, you can say you want to go to the moon or be Oprah, but the reality that's going to happen, probably not that likely. But most of what you want is achievable. And the key to getting your brain on board, which is the other side of what I talk about, is having a solid plan in place. So there we go. Yeah.
And there's our left and right, both ends of the spectrum, bringing it all together. You and I were talking beforehand, but typically, Patty, with the kind of behind the scenes, I like to sort of say, take us behind the scenes, Patty, to sort of how you do what you do, what's working, what's not working. So, in terms of big shifts or you're coming into the new year, how do you connect? I'm using the word connect instead of market, but how do you connect, or what are you doing right now? What's your secret sauce in terms of connecting with your people, your tribe, or your ideal clients?
Well, for me, connection is exactly the right word, because to me, marketing is about finding ways to be in a relationship with the people you serve in a way that is of service to them in that process, and helps them connect to you and understand if you're a solution for them. So I completely agree with that. But behind the scenes, always I'm trying to figure out, how do I go deeper, not wider? It's always deep, not wide. And that goes with, like, when you're talking about how to market, I always prefer deeper, which is why I always would rather see someone do one thing in person than 6 things online. Online's beautiful, but you got to find a way to connect with someone from that online activity, or to me, it doesn't have the juice. It doesn't have the power.
Right. And is that advice that you also have taken yourself, in terms of something that you're doing differently, or that's been a game changer for you in the past, 6 months or a year, or something that, like, a year ago you were like, nope, that wasn't what I was doing, and now I'm doing it, and this is really, proving proving to be my secret sauce or what's working for you?
Well, something super recent was I just this year decided I would open up a Facebook group, and I've actually been resistant to it because to me it didn't seem like a good place to connect with people. But the more I got to see some examples of some people doing it super well, I did just launch it. And part of the reason I did it was because I had a private Facebook group for a community that people were paying for. And I did really like to see the engagement there. I wanted to have a way to interact with people in a community sense that had like an easier touch factor, meaning I love to be in person, but this seemed like a really nice way to start cultivating a community. I don't know if that answered your question or not.
No, totally answered the question. And so where could people find you? I mean, we'll put stuff in the notes, but what's your Facebook group for those who are just listening?
Sure. It's Wealth and Purpose, and it's the ampersand, but I think you can find it if you use the word and.
Or if they find Patty Lennon, you probably can get your group from Patty Lennon. Awesome.
Yeah.
And now, being a little meta and slightly shifting gears, it's the beginning of the year, and this is when everybody freaks out and, oh my God, New Year's resolutions, what I didn't do last year. I have all these goals. I want to make all this stuff happen. I need to market. I'm overwhelmed. That's where it's where my mindset sometimes is. I know it's where a lot of your clients' mindset is. You very wisely are currently in the middle of your, 5 days to build your marketing machine, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. So perfect timing. What are you now telling people, or what would be your sort of like, what's your overarching advice you would give to people as they're in this? I mean, I don't want to steal you can talk a little bit about your program, but what would you say to people who are like watching this and they're in that exact same mindset of craziness?
Yeah. Well, one thing I would just want to raise awareness of is because of the date, today's January 30th, Friday is February 1st, and it's also the celebration called Imbolc. And if you're not super like Celtic or into like goddesses and stuff, you probably don't have any idea what that is. But it's essentially the pagan, really the emergence energy, right? And then, and there's a reason why I'm telling you that. Next Tuesday is the Lunar New Year, and it's also the Chinese New Year. And why I'm saying all those dates is that every ancient culture really would never use January 1st as the new year, because
my dog agrees. In case
energetically, we weren't prepared to launch. We were still in hibernation mode on January 1st. If you're overwhelmed and you're thinking, oh my God, January's already gone. Good news. It's a fake new year. You know how there's fake news? Certain people say there's fake news. Well, there's a fake new year, and it's the
real one is coming. The real one is coming.
Every ancient culture pretty much builds their new year around the Lunar New Year, which hasn't even happened yet. So you're ahead of the game.
Perfect.
You are ahead of the game. So
perfect. That's great advice. That's not what anybody would be expecting to hear right this minute.
There you go. So you've still got days. You've got days. Yeah. So there's 3 key things that I'm telling people to do in this. The program isn't a paid program, by the way. It's a free program. I've always offered it paid in the past, and the reason I'm offering it free, because I guess this is something I'm doing very differently this year, is I'm taking some of my paid material and I'm going to be offering it free throughout the year. Because I truly believe there's a lot of not good training material out there that people are investing in. This is not a criticism of the industry or anything. I just think that sometimes you need context to know how to invest. And so I really believe if people start engaging my material, which I'm not a braggy kind of person, but I am a trainer and I am a teacher at my heart. I teach at university. When I was a banker, I was always in training. Like one of the trainers, it's how my mind works.
Right.
My training is solid. And I think when you experience it, it's going to help you be more discerning when you're looking at other people's stuff. So it's one of my motivations is to raise the bar on the industry. But so that's kind of like the behind the scenes thing, is that sometimes you have to do the thing that feels right in your soul, even though it makes no sense, you know? And I truly believe it's going to help me make more money. I have no proof. We'll see at the end of the year. But here's the keys that I'm saying to people in this particular program is if you feel overwhelmed, that is the sign that you have too much on your plate. So you got to eliminate it. And where marketing is concerned, where you got to eliminate is first, you need to eliminate things that you are selling. If you feel overwhelmed, most likely start it with you're trying to sell too many different variations of who you are. Second thing is you got to narrow down your market to 1, 2, or 3 options. And then the third thing is, and you know it's always my thing, is you got to put it on the calendar. It's got to go on the calendar. If it does not go on the calendar, it does not get done. So there we go.
I love it. Did you see me? I was like, like, oh yeah, the calendar part. Oh, we're here. We're doing it. The new year's starting. It's all fine. Patty, is there a perfect plan? Do you make people plan for the whole year? I mean, this is kind of you plan for the whole year out. Do you have a different philosophy for sort of, 90 days and pivoting, 6 months? What's your advice on that in terms of, I know there are different points of view, and what do you say to people? Like, all in, plan the whole thing out, or take a step back?
Yeah. I think there's something helpful for planning longer term, but I'll tell you the level of detail that I encourage people to be at, and it's the 10,000 foot level. So I really feel like 3 months is the right place for people to be, especially in our current environment, because almost everyone has online marketing as part of their marketing, right? I mean, I think it's like 99% of us, and everything is changing so quickly. So I felt like this a couple of years ago, I felt like 90 days was a good, was important. But now I definitely do, because something that was working 3 months ago online may not be working anymore. So that means you're rewriting, detailed plans if you're planning out the whole year.
Right.
It's a little bit different if you have a team. So if you have a team that's going to be actually managing most of the moving parts, I think you do have to get a little more detailed. But most people are doing a lot of the work themselves with the support of like an online business manager or VA, which is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like full-on marketing. Right. So I think what you need to do is figure out, where do I want to be at the end of the year? And then have a quarterly goal of what things you'll be selling and focusing on. So when longer term opportunities come up, like speaking opportunities that you might have for yourself, like a year from now or 6 months from now, kind of what to pitch as your topics. But other than that, I don't really, I don't encourage detailed planning beyond 3 months.
Okay. That's really helpful. And I think takes also, again, the pressure of somebody who's like, I have to have the perfect plan and it's got to be all mapped out and I need to know all this. But the 10,000 view of, okay, I can kind of look at my quarters or my seasons. I know where I'm working, not working. I know when I'm going to maybe be offering or launching things. And that's a great way to think about it. Patty, this has been really helpful. I feel like we've, this is just a teaser for what it would be like for somebody to get into your 5-day program or some of your other programs. And I can say that personally. What are the best ways for people to find you, or how would you like for them to find you? Again, I'll include it in the show notes, but for those that are just listening or watching later, what's the best way to find you?
If you're listening today, we're only on day 3. You can join us, pattylennon.com/training. You can totally catch up. Otherwise, come over to our Facebook group, Wealth and Purpose, because whatever is going on at the moment, that's where I'll be most alive around that topic, and you'll be getting bonus trainings.
Perfect. Thank you, Patty. I really appreciate it. And we'll put some show notes in, and then I'll also put this over on my website when it's up. So we've got that for posterity.
Awesome.
Thanks, Patty.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.